ESPN Radio. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick BMW, and Burdick Lexus postgame show, presented by One Group and Holbrook Heating and Air Conditioning. Call in now on the Tom and Ellie DWITom.com hotline, 315-437-7644.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. We just went from here we go again to not so fast. In the blink of an eye, what a win for the Orange today in overtime. 38-31 over Virginia Tech. Yeah, it's November. Everything's okay now. What a crazy, wacky mess of a game that was, but Syracuse gets the win. Brian Higgins with you next hour. Orange postgame. You heard the number. Get on the horn, 315-437-7644. What do we got coming up? We got to sort our way through that. I don't even know where to begin on that. Where do we even begin on that? I told you, Cuse Virginia Tech, when they play football, like, stuff happens. Stuff happens that you cannot begin to have any clue that's about to happen. Just weird crap happens when these teams play each other. What a crazy game. I mean, I don't even know where to start on this one. I mean, Syracuse, like, first half, receivers can't catch. You forget the guard guys deep. Second half, you're making plays. LaQuint Allen, just a phenomenal game for LaQuint. His second overtime touchdown of the season. How about that? 2 OT touchdowns in 1 year. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. What a game out of him. Kyle McCord, for the first time this year, does not throw for 300 yards. Ends up with 280 on the button. And then the defense made some plays down the stretch, forcing the fumble in overtime. Marlowe Wax punching it out. Fadil Diggs recovering it in Syracuse. Securing bowl eligibility and securing a chance here for a meaningful November, it feels like. A chance to go out and attain a season with meaning, whether it's, the ACC championship, whatever. Unlikely, very unlikely, but how about that? Justice Russ Simmons. Welcome to the party, Justice Russ Simmons. And Tom Brennan, to answer your question, where has Justice Russ Simmons been? He's been hurt. That's why he hadn't caught a pass. That's why he hadn't caught a pass this season, Tom. That's That's why that. Again, all right, so here's what we got. We got an hour with you. We're hanging out. We're on the radio. We get the phone lines open, 315-437-7644. We're getting you coming down to the Dome. We're getting you on your couch at home, wherever you are. We're getting you on CuseSportsTalk.com. We're getting you on the Cuse Sports Talk YouTube. We're in the chats. We're back and forth. We're all over. Get your calls in at our DWITom.com postgame hotline at 315-437-7644. We will have the Fran Brown press conference live and in full when it occurs, coming up in due time. Fran's been about 30-ish minutes to the podium after games so far this year. Home games, but it's been more than a month since we've had a home game. So we'll hang loose, play that by ear, and get you to Fran whenever he becomes available. But, man, what a game. What a game. And let's go back to what Fran Brown said on Monday when he was asked about Syracuse's recent history in November. Say, yeah, I wasn't here for that. And it felt like, here we go again. November again. It's 21-3 in a game that, you're playing Virginia Tech without their starting quarterback. That news popped out of the clear blue sky about 15 minutes before kickoff. We've been talking about their running back, Byshell Tootin, all week, and he didn't play as well. I didn't hear word one that Kyron Jones was in any danger of missing this game. Backup quarterback comes in. He was excellent for a decent chunk of the day. Backup running backs are making plays. Syracuse had just a raft of missed tackles, yards given up after contact, all this stuff. You're at a 21-3 hole. 21-3 hole. Blocked extra point. I mean, there's all of this stuff, all of these just different nightmare scenarios that you've been through historically this year, other years, looming, that have brought you down before, and somehow you avoid all of it here today. Somehow you avoid all of it here today, and you're able to pull out the win. You're able to pull out the win. Just a heck of a win. Absolute heck of a win today for Syracuse to go to 6-2 now. And this is why I said we gotta take a beat after the Pitt game, because last week was a mess. It was not good. We get it. But I think we fast-forwarded so fast from that to what normally happens after that, and that Syracuse's season's falling apart, that we didn't allow ourselves a chance to think of the other side. Well, what if Syracuse doesn't fall apart? And here we are. Today they could have. They certainly looked like it. You're down 21-3. That's not a game you win. It's not a game you win. McCord throws the bad interception. The fumble before halftime. Turnovers are 2-0 against you in regulation. It's not a game you win. Not a game you win. That said, backup quarterback, backup running back, that should not be a game you lose. You put yourself in a terrible spot, but you dig out of it, make plays when you need to, and you come back and get it in overtime. And LaQuint Allen, you know, I know you could go back to the UNLV game. You look that he scored 4 touchdowns in this game. This is the best game of LaQuint Allen's season. First 100-yard game of the year, 9th of his career, 21 carries, $121, 3 scores, including the game tire and the game winner. Also caught 5 balls for 37 yards. But it's a game where you're down your backup running back in Yasin Willis. You didn't have another option. Your passing game, you know, I don't know how many drops there were in the first half. McCord was 12 of 20 at halftime. It felt that 5 or 6 of them were just flat dropped. It's a game where you turned to and leaned on LaQuint Allen, and he came through, and he came through, and he came through time and time and time again. Huge game for LaQuint. Absolutely massive game for LaQuint Allen. And, you know, we hear all season long how much he's a motivating factor, a driving force of this team, how he is, you know, the toughest guy in the locker room, all the stuff you hear all season long. It showed today. And thank goodness that penalty on the sideline didn't end up ruining the day. Who knows what he said or what happened over there? It's just one of those, like, are we really throwing this penalty? At this point in time, I don't know the words that came out of his mouth to draw that 15-yarder, but the ACC crew found the immediate makeup call like 7 seconds later to erase its importance of the game. But man, that was I don't even know what that game was. That game was bonkers. That game felt in many ways like what we talked about all week. That invoked Syracuse, Virginia Tech of old, where you had no idea what these two teams were about to put on the field before the game, and it turned into just a glorious insanity throughout 3.5 hours together for this one. It was something today, man. It was absolutely something. All right, let's get our first break in here in postgame. Let's motor through the beginning so we can be ready for Fran later on. Want to get your calls in at 315-437-7644. Call now. We'll talk next. We'll check in with the chat during the break. Fran Brown's press conference before too long here as we roll along in our postgame show here on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Join News Channel 9 Steve Infante and 24/7 Sports Mike McAllister on the Quad 1 hour before.
What's up, chat? He bowed. I don't know. I don't know what the ref actually flagged it for. Yes, F. Yes. Oh, what is going on, chat? Heck of a game. Heck of a game. Easily could be, KC fan, though the backup played pretty well, all things considered. Yeah, I don't know if they got him for bumping the ref, for saying something. I have no idea. I'd say them not going for two, Rochfan, at the end of the game. That goes into what, Fran said after the UNLV game when he's like, they said they were ready to play for 4 quarters, but I don't know about 5. I think Fran's a trust his team in the deep waters kind of coach. Tim, you have a lot of points there. The CW coverage was just absolutely terrible. It's terrible. Like, enough with the umpire cam. I can't do it. Oh, if he doesn't, yeah, it's possible. Like, stop showing the umpire cam live. It's terrible on replays. It's incomprehensible live. I get it's sponsored, but stop it. How much is Ace Hardware paying for that? And, I know Tom Brenneman has been canceled for life for, whatever that was 4 or 5 years ago. And this is his big return. This has nothing to do with him being canceled. He's not good. I just can't deal with Tom. Ace is slinging it around. Yeah, I mean, how many plays did they miss because they were showing freaking umpire cam? Ace is the place for the helpful hardware folks. Didn't John Madden used to do Ace Hardware? And Tough Act in Tenacton? Why was the third string kicker coming in, Clark Russell? Have you seen the first 2 kickers? There's a lot of blue chew, Jake's dad. A lot.
Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick BMW, and Burdick Lexus postgame show presented by One Group and Holbrook Heating and Air Conditioning. Call in now on the Tom and Ellie DWITom.com hotline, 315-437-7644.
All right, off and moving here at our postgame coverage today. You heard the phone number. Give a ring. Time to get some calls in before Fran Brown's press conference, which will be starting in due time. We'll get it in its entirety live here, both on the radio and on CuseSportsTalk.com, even with moving pictures on the internet. You'll be able to check that out. Maybe we'll sneak in some of the players as well later on in the show, depending on how things go. But 315-437-7644. Final from the Dome today. Final from the Dome today in overtime. Second overtime win of the year. Syracuse 38, Virginia Tech 31. And just a wild game. Great game? I don't know if they're calling for it at the Hall of Fame anytime soon. It was ragged, but it was fun, and it is a big win here for Syracuse. It was a big win here for Syracuse to set the stage here now to change the way Novembers are remembered around here. Because Novembers have been a mess. And this one started off as a mess. You're down 21-3 to a team with a backup quarterback. It's backup running back. You're missing tackles. You're dropping passes. You're flat out looking like the team that was a mess last week against Pittsburgh. But LaQuinn Allen and Marlowe Wax. I'll give Marlowe credit on the defense. Marlowe was great today. Second game back. Toughness. Want to. All the all the intangible stuff. What was Marlowe's final line today? 8 tackles for Marlowe, had a sack and a half in the first half, forced the fumble that ended the game. Marlowe was outstanding today. He was flying around. He looked like the Marlowe Wax of old. So that was a massive game today for Marlowe. For sure. Let's make Marlowe Wax our Orange Insight today, powered by Staff Leasing. You know, his second game back, you know, we were a little surprised last week he went, giving comments during the week, but man, now he's back in there. I get Syracuse gave up 31 today, but he's back in there as a playmaker on defense. You got for the last month of the season. That's huge. To see him with 8 tackles, a sack and a half, the forced fumble, he was doing Marlowe Wax type stuff. He was in the backfield. He was all over the place. Today, Marlowe Wax was really, really impressive, I thought, today. And if he can keep playing like that, your defense has a shot to make some progression as the games go along here. You'd still like to make a few more tackles where the initial contact was. My goodness, their yards after contact today. Don't have that number officially in front of me, but, man, it must have been shockingly high. But having Marlowe Wax certainly helping the defense, as I thought he was good last week. Not much stats in his first game back, but he looked kind of like his old self here today. That's our Orange Insight, powered by Staff Leasing. Let Staff Leasing handle the heavy lifting when it comes to HR and payroll so you can concentrate on scoring big in your industry. Visit staffleasinghr.com to learn more about how they can help your business stay in the game. Get your calls going at 315-437-7644 for ESPN 44. Get you to Fran Brown's press conference as soon as it begins from the Dome here today. But just an absolutely, truly crazy game today. I don't even know like what you can pin it on, like statistically or anything else from this game. I mean, LeQuint was great, but you look at turnovers technically ended up even, so that works out. But the Orange were down 2-0 at one point. Like the Orange had good field possession once in the first half. That's when McCord threw the interception. You have a nice drive going like once in the first half. That's when Gill fumbled it. You're able to turn that around in the second half with the fumble that was early fourth quarter. Late third quarter, it was tail end of the third quarter, I guess. Marlowe Wax had the fumble recovery on that, too. So Marlowe both recovered a fumble and had the forced fumble today. So Marlowe was, man, he was all over the place today. He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic today. I'm looking at Marlowe and LeQuint. I'm looking at those guys. Number 1, LeQuint Allen. Number 2, Marlowe Wax. Those are the two guys. Game balls to them today, for sure. McCord was fine, right? I think Kyle was fine today. 24 of 35, tossing a handful of drops, 280, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was fine. He wasn't scintillating, but certainly showed a return to form after last week's disaster. But I'm looking at LeQuint and Marlowe as the two guys. And welcome to the scene, Justice Ross Simmons. First 4 catches of his Orange career, catch 1 and catch 3 in a Syracuse uniform, both for touchdowns. His first multi-touchdown game in college. Never had one at Colorado State. Go figure he got them both in there today. Just wild stuff to look at. Breaking out of a tackle on the first one to get up the sideline. Second one, safety took out the cornerback, and he was free sailing to the end zone. But Justice Ross Simmons getting in the mix today. A day, apparently, we'll see if Frank gets asked about this postgame. Zede Haynes, we're told, was at the game, not dressed, but first time he's knowingly been back with the program here in more than a month. So we'll see if that leads to anything going forward or what that means, if we know anything at all. But good at least to have Zede somewhat back in the fold around the guys today. But we look at the weapons. Not a big day for Rondé Getson. I thought he'd have a big game. He caught the 2-point conversion, but just ends up, besides that, with 2 catches for 18 yards. Trevor Pena, 7 for 83, but he had a couple of drops. Jackson Meeks had a couple of drops with 5 catches. It was a wobbly day from the receiving crew, but they pulled through when it mattered most, and LeQuint Allen was the guy that was leaned on today when push came to shove. Not McCord. LeQuint Allen. They ran that kind of trick play for him to start overtime, then he barreled in from 10 yards out on play 2. fumble a few plays later, and that was all she wrote today. All right, let's get a quick break out of the way. When we come back, we're going to keep it here until we get to the Fran Brown press conference. Stay tuned for that as we move along closer and closer to hearing from Fran postgame today here on our postgame coverage on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
The Sports Show.
It could be a turning point kind of win, Tim, depending on what they do after it. Oh, boy. Headphones down. Look, it's Mike. What's that?
So why is this mic so high?
I don't know. What's the share way back here?
Oh, that was because I was balling earlier.
Oh.
I was balling.
No, Satchel Sack. Nothing interesting happened today. Whoa. Oh, the game.
A little between the legs, behind the back. You know.
What's going on over here in the YouTube? What's up, YouTube?
We had a pretty decent amount in there earlier.
Mm-hmm.
For all you guys that doubt me, I'm going to make that field goal.
Mike's deep in training for his 57-yard field goal attempt coming up in 20 days. I thought I just heard something tear. Was that you?
Yeah,
that
was me tearing a hole in the stratosphere with the ball I'm about to kick.
Oh, I thought it was your quad. Mike is going to get so injured with this kick. Oh, man. You're going to a meat raffle? The hell is a meat raffle? You're raffling for meat? I demand immediate answers, Satchel Sack. What in God's name is a meat raffle? And why am I not invited? I want to go to a meat raffle. Brisket, brisket. I guess I'm doing more of a meat auction. What, 10? Do I hear 10? 10, 15, 15, 20 on the brisket. 20 on the ribs, ribs. Spin the wheel. If they land on your number, you win meat? Oh, goddamn right, Satchel Sack. That is America. I want to go to a meat raffle. Is it all good meat? Or is there some like, oh, you won like, here's some intestines. Got to get a new freezer. You win half a cow, Gavendo. Those things, that'll take up some space. Get a half a beef. I don't know why on my Instagram feed, like feeds of like some butcher cutting up halves of beef have been popping up recently. I don't know what I did to lead to it, but I'll sit there and watch it, and then it leads to it just happening more. I'm like, he's cutting up that beef. Look at them steaks. Yeah, here's all the liverwurst you can eat. Oh, man. You almost won all the porterhouse, but sorry.
And Holbrook Heating and Air Conditioning. Call in now on the Tom and Ellie DWITom.com hotline. 315-437-7644.
All right. Phone lines available, 315-437-7644. I would anticipate This Fran Brown press conference starting sooner than later? Maybe? Fran? Hello? Fran? Either way, we're gonna hang loose with you here until we get some Fran Brown in our lives. I'll be intrigued of questions I hope are asked of Fran here today. I would imagine several things like game related. Here's my guess of how Fran will answer this, but I hope somebody asked this because this was certainly going on around Twitter in the office here. We were talking about it. Syracuse scores late. LeQuint gets the touchdown. What was it? 30 seconds left. It's 31-30. The go for it or go for two. And he opts to kick the extra point, which had been adventurous up until that point. And sends it to overtime. Some like to go for two for the win. I think back to what Fran said at the UNLV game a month ago, which was the idea of, hey, yeah, they don't want to go into the fifth quarter. They said they're playing a 4-quarter game. We'll play 5 quarters. Fran seems to be a guy like, yeah, oh, you think you're in the deep water? We'll find out. We're going to go out past the buoys and live a little. So I don't know. I'll be intrigued to see if he's asked that, what his thought process was. I am generally a force overtime guy over try to end it immediately. I'd say at that point it felt like Syracuse was the better team. Oh my goodness, those last 2 extra points. That guy screaming off the right edge on both the last 2 extra points. That felt close, terrifyingly close. Both the extra point at the end of regulation and the one in overtime. Special teams, it's giving me anxiety. I don't like the orange special teams this year. I'm just having a really tough time with it. But all of the kicks, it's just whoo. Fran did go to a new kicker here today, and maybe we'll hear about that as Jackson Kennedy is the kicker now, as Fran Brown is stepping to the podium for his postgame press conference.
At Penn State, when they've done a good job, and just really, it's a blessing to be able to see him continuing to climb and to change that program. And I'm very thankful we had opportunity of competing today against each other.
Questions. We'll start in the front row with Chris, Dan, and Emily.
Fran, on offense, did you guys change anything in the second half, or did you just break a couple tackles and make a couple big plays?
There was a lot of things said in the locker room for me, challenging the coaching staff to do different things and challenging our players to be who they are. I felt like our offense have been they've been our bell cow since I've got here throughout spring ball. And when I didn't see that, I wanted to see that, because that's what we coach for. That's what you coach to get it out. And I think Coach Nixon is a really good football coach, and he was able to just snap back into his own and get going. Not saying he was off and things like that, but it wasn't clicking. So we had to go in there and we had to just get back to the bases, get back to who we are, and honestly give the best football player the ball. When you're able to give LeQuint Allen the football, he was able to make plays and do different things. So that was the game plan. That was it coming from last week. As you guys all kept saying, are you going to run the ball? So he was just able to go run the ball a little bit more, and it was able to open up, and then it made it easier for Kyle McCord to do what Kyle McCord does.
Fran, congratulations.
Thanks, man. You too.
Appreciate it. So looking at this game, 35-17 after halftime, you outscored Virginia Tech. Just what you can say about offense, defense, and special teams, and a little bit deeper into how that all came together and how that second half came about the way that it did.
Just really believing in each other, and I think Dart, what our core values are, guys just really stuck to it and just challenging each other, constantly pushing. You watch me on the sideline. I'm very, very energetic, throughout the game. I challenge guys throughout the entire game. I try to coach all the way through the game. I think our coaching staff coaches all the way through the game. So, we never stopped, even when we were up 3 and then they went back up 10, it was different things that had to happen and things that had to be done, 10 or whatever it was, 10 or 7 or something like that. We just had to continue to push, continue to fight, and just make sure that there's no quit in this. What truly was, what pissed me off was the end of the first half. We allowed that kid to run and almost score. And I don't like that. That was quitting, and that was the first time I saw guys just think it was okay. And that's what made me challenge everybody and challenge myself too, because either you coach it or allow it. So I think from that play, it strung something, because you guys don't deserve to see that,
Well, Emily, then Christian, then Steve.
Fran, Aronde told us on Tuesday that you had brought up kind of the November narrative around this team with them and that they don't win in November, SU doesn't win in November. I know you're someone who likes to live in the moment and day to day, so why was it so important to bring up kind of the past history there with them?
Because it's always been about the history here, right? I mean, when I got here, that was something that made it a good deal, was because I understood who Syracuse was, and I respected who Syracuse was and what they were, and it was nothing towards the, what do they call it, my precedent, or I don't know how to say the word. So the last coach before me, I'm not about to use a word I don't really understand, but the last coach before me, they didn't always win a lot, you know, towards the second part of the year. So what I wanted to do was make sure that we tried to do that, you know, and show them that's not who they are. And it was just different things that I talked to them about, you know, and it wasn't about what the coach did on the field. It was about what we were doing as men off the field, how we were living, how we were going to class, how we were handling our day-to-day business, because I think that is all a direct correlation of what you're going to do on the football field. You know, like some of those dumb flags, you know, we can't have those. You know, those things could cost you the game. It would just so happen that they had a dumb flag right after we had a dumb flag, so it kind of offset it, but you can't do those things. And I just think that it was more so not just a football, it was how you live. So if we continue to live right, our GPA continues to climb overall as a team, then overall we'll have success together.
Christian?
Coach, what have you seen from Justice Ross Simmons as he's improved after his injury that led him to have this type of game today?
I see he's tough. He's still fighting through the injury. You see how he was running on that long touchdown. So he's still fighting through it. He's tough. I think he's a really good player. I think it's hard to tackle him. So I can't wait till he continues to get 100% healthy, because he had popped his hamstring. It wasn't just a pull. So he's really popped it, and he was dealing with a calf issue because of the hamstring and how things. So he's just coming back, you know, and that's the kid that we went to recruit, and that's why he's here, and we're happy he's here. And, you know, the better he does, the better it is for us, because he is from Rochester. You know, and this guy's from local, so that helps in the recruiting game also, and it helps different things. So he's a big piece of who we are and what we're going to do, and I'm so thankful that he's almost back to be 100%, because you see what he is when he's about 80. So imagine once he gets to be full go.
Coach, I was going there as well with Justice Ross Simmons, down 21-3 in the third quarter. You need a spark, and he provided it with that one play, broke a tackle, took it 55 yards for a touchdown. How did that play, I guess, change the entire complexion of the game? Because it seemed like everybody fed off that. Defense fed off it. The crowd fed off it. Everybody, you know, got into it after that.
I mean, if you because of our meetings and because of the end of practice and what I'm talking to him about and how I'm coming at him about being better and how we're going to count on you this week, you're going to have to step up. It's on you. You've been doing this in practice. Your time's coming. Your time's coming. So when coach keeps saying that and everybody's hearing it and doing it, and then it happens, it's like, wow. And it's good for that kid too, you know. It's good for him and his family and all those things of that nature, especially you come here. I've been hurt the entire time. The 8th game of the year. And he came and told me, like, Coach, I think I'm on a red shirt. I said, you red shirt my butt. You're not red shirt, and you're about to play this week. Like, you're going to take off. You're a part of what we're doing. Just trust and believe it. And then for that to go out and happen for him, it helps you for the future, you know, and it helps with all of the kids, and it gives hope to the entire football team. So his touchdown was just hope, you know.
We'll go to Martin, and we'll go to Aiden in the front row.
Hi, Coach Rager. You've talked about various plays throughout the years being important to the program. How important was it to the program after the performance against Pitt and being down 21-3 today to come back and win this game?
I mean, it's real important that you fight. Like, I mean, you know where I'm from, right? I ain't no quitter, so I can't quit. I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And then I'm leading the program, so the more they take on my personality, you'll never, ever see us quit. You know, so that's why you see me all the time, and we get to have a relationship now, is because I didn't quit. And that's why John Wildhack and Herm and all those guys allowed me to be the head coach, because they saw that no quit in me, and they saw that fight, and they told me they want that into our program when it comes to everything, though, not just football, academically, our faith, and with all the things that we do. There's no quitting us. So, you know, that game last week, if anything, we learned from it. We didn't accept it. But then we had to move on, and when we were down today, you know, I got them together at the first quarter because I seen them not together, and then I went into it at the end and said, like, what are we going to do? You know, you guys want to quit, then go ahead. I'll just put all the freshmen in. But we're not doing that. Like, let's play ball. Let's show them who we are and what we're about, and take off. It's time for you guys to take off as men. Like, we got a little saying that we say in there, but go do grown men stuff. Now, grown men do their job, you know.
Aiden and Brent.
Yeah, Coach, congrats on the win. For the second time this season, you elected to force overtime rather than go for two. How do you think that kind of encapsulates your confidence, but also what this team is at this point in the season to be able to win in that extra period?
I probably just I don't want to go for two and miss it, and then you were here saying, why'd you do that? So you saying this now, so you get to go, you always right. Right? So I'm trying to always be right. So I won't go for the field goal because I'm afraid to go for two and we don't get it. So I ain't got the kahunas for that right now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing that. I'm gonna just go with the safe because I trust our defense and I trust our offensive line. And as you see in overtime, that's LeQuint time. So just get LeQuint the ball.
Go to Brent and WAR.
Coach, on LeQuint, you consistently call him the best football player that you have. Mm-hmm. Did we see that today? And it not only best, but is he the most clutch football player that you have on this team?
He can catch. He can play safety. He can play outside linebacker. He can play running back, wide receiver. He can do wildcat quarterback. He's done that here before. So, he can do everything. And I'm just thankful to have him on our team. And it's his passion. It's his passion. It's how he plays the game. He does it the right way, and he brings people along. There's a lot of good football players, but I think the special ones bring others along. And I think he does that every day, and he's never down at practice. So, he's a special man. He's a special kid.
Coach, to keep it on LeQuint, I know a big part of his development this year has been his leadership, keeping his emotions in check. There was a questionable penalty that he picked up in the second half, and then you pulled him aside for a play before he went back on the field. Is there anything that you communicated to him there?
Yeah, that's dumb shit. Exactly what I said to him. Are you a man or you a little kid? I'm a man, so do man shit. That's dumb shit. Don't do that. That's little kid stuff. I need to go talk to my son, Braden, about doing that. Don't do that. And he was like, you're right. I said, I know, that's why I'm telling you that. And get back in there and get us a first down. You owe yards. And then they happen to do something dumb the next play. And then so he kind of got the backs. But that was exactly what I told him.
We'll go all the way to the back, Maddie.
Coach, after the Pitt game, defense was talked about needing to make those big plays. We saw a couple of important turnovers towards the end of the game here. What have you kind of seen from them, and how important were those big turnovers?
It was real big. It was important for just us overall as a defensive staff. I was coming at Coach E a lot. We was arguing and stuff. But it was needed, and we needed to go back and forth because it was get it out of the players. We either coach it or allow it, and you coach turnovers, you coach all this, you coach that. Well, if they're not doing it, then you're allowing them not to do it. Make them do it. Get them to do it. Get them to play. And I was just happy for him and the staff that was able to happen that way because he deserves it. He's been busting his butt. First time as a coordinator, getting to help us out when it comes to overtime, being able to go stop guys several times. That's a lot to do that. And I'm really happy for him and the defensive staff. They did an amazing job today.
We'll stay back with Jesse.
Right here, Coach. Coach, congratulations. What does it mean to you to become bowl eligible with the win today?
That was already going to happen. I don't really care about that. I'm sorry, because then y'all will say, who does he think he is? It's not that way. But, the bowl game wasn't, the mission. That was just a part of the mission. So along the way, we were able to accomplish something that we knew that we would accomplish anyway. So you know how you guys are. We supposed to win the national championship. Today y'all trying to act all different about it. But remember last week, a lot of those things that were going on. So in my mindset, it's just I always knew that we would be bowl eligible because we're good enough. And now we're just trying to continue to capitalize and push on so that way we can get to where we truly want to get to at the end of the year.
Take a couple more for Coach. We'll start with Chris and then end with Emily right here.
Sorry. How much sort of struggle is Marlowe playing through, and what does it mean for him to make that play in overtime and force the ball loose?
He's playing with a lot of struggle, but he loves the game. He loves his teammates. It's important that he plays. This is his third game. So I'm going to see how he goes through this and through the next game, and I'll talk to him to see is this what you want to do? Do we want to finish this the right way? Because we know he'll play on Sunday, but then also in the same sense, I get a chance to get him back next year if he don't play 4 games, right? So I want to make sure we're doing what's best for him. overall and make sure it's the right way. But he's playing with a lot of pain because he loves Syracuse. Like, this is his school, his mom, his grandmom, his auntie. He's at Syracuse doing. I mean, his girlfriend's on the lacrosse team there all the way through Syracuse, so it means a lot with him. And he's playing through a lot of pain, and we're thankful that he's doing that.
I know you said sort of with redshirting, like you tell guys, hey, I might beat you. Like, I don't want to talk about a red shirt, 4 games into the season. But that's an option for Marlowe, you think?
Here you go with that, bro. Like, that was so minute in the whole piece of it. But yeah, it is always an option because he hasn't played 4 games. He's played 3 games. So we just got to talk to him and see it. But for the most part, he's a good football player. He's a competitor. So you guys think he's going to end up redshirting? Probably not. So we play next week? So what you think he's going to do next week? Exactly. So I was saying that to mess with you so you can keep asking those questions.
Last question, Emily.
Just real fast first, that LeQuinn penalty, what happened there? Because we couldn't see up in the press box.
Oh, I ain't saying what happened because I say what happened, then that comes back later on and do different things. He just, I guess they tried to push him off the sideline, and he turned around and made sure they knew it was his sideline. Like, this is my field, this ain't your field, and you can't turn around and do that after the ref's telling you to come along, and he turned back around again, so it was like excessive,
And then to close, offensive playbook opened up a lot in the second half. We saw the Wildcat with Valari try to trick play early on. Have you explicitly asked Coach Nixon, like, hey, can we get more variety in here, or is that just how he decided to solve?
I was just snapping on him the way my wife be snapping on me. And then when she snap on me, I usually do exactly what I'm supposed to do, right? So I took a little page out of Tierra's book, and then it kind of worked out with Jeff. That's about it.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Good players in a second.
All right, there he is, Fran Brown. Yeah, you never know quite where you're going to get there to go with a Fran Brown press conference, which, as always, in our post-game shows is brought to you by our friends at William Mattar. Hurt in a car, call William Mattar at 444-4444. Give us a call at 315-437-7644 if you'd like to chime in on the final 20 minutes or so of our post-game coverage here today. Lots to get into with what Fran had to say there. I mean, like, where to start? He kind of went along my thought process of the going for 2 at the end of the game of how he seems to think about it. He's perfectly content to go play some more football, right? He is in no desire of let's end the game now. Let's leave it to the happenstance of one play. No, he always has the confidence that more football is the better option for his team, and they've gone to overtime twice this year, and it has worked out that way twice this year, so that's good. I'm also glad he brought up Justice Ross Simmons running on that long touchdown, because I was watching that. I'm like, why is he running like that? And yeah, he's still not quite right, I guess, with the leg injuries that he's had all season. But man, he hoofed it out. It didn't exactly look quite right, but he made it to the end zone. And yeah, Fran also. We've got our delay back. Fran made me use the dump button there twice during the post-game press conference. That is something that doesn't normally happen, describing LeQuinn Allen picking up the penalty. So, yeah, a lot of things happened there during the Fran Brown post-game press conference. That was a lot of different things, a lot of emotions, a lot of different things we just experienced there together during the post-game press conference with Fran Brown. So yeah, a lot of stuff there, but you can tell it's a happy head coach, and the attitude, the bowl game question he got there, I think is interesting because it is important. This is the 3rd straight year Syracuse is bowl eligible, and it is the first time that's the case since the consecutive run of bowls, the last one of which would have been in 1999 when I went to the bowls pretty much every year in the 90s. And they had not gone to a bowl game 3 years consecutively since then. So, yeah, it was 7-6 to a bowl last year, or 7-5 to a bowl. Last year was 6-6 to a bowl. And this year will be, who knows what, 6-2 right now. They'll go to some bowl game depending on how the rest of the month goes. That's never been the goal, but I think Fran hit that in a decent way along the way. He's like, I don't want to poo-poo it, but it's like it's not the goal. It's just something by happenstance you pick up along the way to your other goals. So it should be assumed. I've always said that Syracuse should be a bowl team most every year. You should be able to celebrate when you get to it, but at the same time, hang on. when you do that. All right, let's Kyle McCord's at the podium. Let's check in on Kyle before we get to a break. Let's hear from QB1 right now.
A lot of guys are going to play on Sunday on that defense, but it was just stuff that we were doing to ourselves that were slowing us down. And then I felt like the first drive and the second half, we did the same thing. I think we had the drop snap, the false start. It was just, we would take one step forward, but two steps back. And then finally got out of our own way. And I think we started to wear them down too. We ran the ball extremely well tonight. And then guys started to make plays in those one-on-one situations.
Kyle, we hear so much about Dart. I think you have the shirt on, if I'm not mistaken there.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the relentless part. Did we see that encapsulated in this game today?
Yeah, I think that in years prior, maybe when the score was 21-3, they would start to quit. But I feel like there's no quit. There's no sense of panic on the sideline, which is exactly what you want to see. We just kept swinging. And, I think all the way until the end, we just kept playing hard. And, it's what Coach Fran preaches every single day. And I think that was on display definitely tonight or this afternoon.
Yeah, Kyle, post-game Thursday and also on Tuesday, you mentioned about trying to rewrite that narrative of how November 7 went here in Syracuse. How do you think flipping this game and making that 18-point comeback and coming out of here with a win kind of starts that going forward these next 4 games?
Yeah. It was huge. I think, like I said, last Thursday obviously did not go the way that we anticipated at all. But to win this first one in the month of November, I think it's going to be good for the momentum. Last week was obviously tough. You don't feel good. There's nothing good to take away from last week. You feel bad. But we just kept coming to work every day, kept swinging, kept fighting, and then thought we had a really good day of practice as well. And then I think the guys showed that there's a lot of fight in this team today.
Your touchdown today was kind of reminiscent of that one you had in Las Vegas to close out that overtime win. Just what kind of gives you that tick on big possessions, big plays like that allows you the ability to fight through defenders and score like that?
Just having the work ethic, over the years, and just gaining that work ethic and just wanting it more than the other team. I think it comes down to that, and just our team, coming together to win it more than the other team. So I wouldn't be able to score without the blocks. If you look back at the play, there's some key blocks there.
Question for all three of you. Kyle, just what you can say about outscoring 35-17 after halftime. LeQuint, just what it means to you to, go after it the way that you go after it with those 2 leaping touchdowns. And Marlo, welcome back to the Dome, and just what you could say about your defensive presence once again.
Yeah, I think being down 21-3, it really gives you no option but to keep fighting, and I think that's exactly what we did. And like I said earlier, there's no panic, there's no tension on the sideline. I knew that we would get it going eventually, and Justice obviously had that big play breaking the tackle. They went zero coverage and broke the tackle and got a big score, and it felt like that play really just took the top off of the defense for the rest of the day. And the defense did a great job of, when it mattered, making stops, and then game in their hands. They're the last drive in overtime, and Marlo making a huge play. I think that's what it's all about, guys stepping up and making plays when their number's called.
Going out there just looking to put it all on the line for my teammates, and not only my teammates, but, Syracuse community. I just want to, just do what I got to do to make them happy at the end of the day, every game. And that's what we practice for. That's what we, go throughout the week for Saturdays like this.
For me, this was my first game back. It was a pretty bit emotional. Walking into the Dome, knowing that last time I was here, I thought it was all over. So I just had to get in the right mindset. It was guys like Cinco, Fidel, and JB. They were just getting me right, making sure I was going out there. So I know that since they had their trust in me, all I could do is go out there and just play free and have fun.
Marlo, over here. What were you thinking as somebody who's already gone down with a big injury this year in the Dome? You took a big hit or whatever happened there. You went to the sideline. What was going through your head in that moment before you eventually got back out there?
I ain't gonna lie, it was scary because that was the same time that I got hurt in the Ohio game, third quarter, about 6 minutes left. So I was scared as ever. But it was just It was just a little cheap shot. I got my wind knocked out. I was good. I had to just jog it off. But a lot of people on the sideline were scared, and I understood why. But I was straight.
Marlo, y'all made a lot of big stands today. But then the offense goes up 3 points. Y'all let them go back up after stopping them a lot of times. What are you telling your defense on the sideline after y'all give up a touchdown? Just we was making a lot of big plays, but then we give up a touchdown as soon as we go up. What are you telling the defense there?
I mean, it's very frustrating anytime their offense scores or anything like that. But we just got to be able to lock back in and we know that the offense got our back. Like every time something happens like that, Kyle coming to the defense, dapping us up. Also with LeQuint, but we know they got that. We know they got our back. And they gonna go down there and score. We just gotta make sure next time we're on the field, we gotta do us.
Kyle, what improvements have you seen from Justice Ross Simmons as he's progressed through, fighting through the injury that he had at training camp?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's healthy now, and I think on top of that, he has a really good grasp of the playbook now, and I think that just allows him to play free. And I think early on wasn't maybe fully healthy and didn't have a great understanding of what we were trying to do offensively. But I mean, he busted his butt the last few weeks to get his body right and to get his mind right. And I think everybody coming to this game, based on the week of practice that he had, knew that he was going to be a big contributor to the offense. And for him to show up in that type of way and have two really big plays to springboard the offense, that's huge. And so now I think the biggest thing is just continuing to ride that momentum into next week with him.
Steve, that Allen?
Marlo, this question is for you. We hear a lot about the Dart philosophy, and those of us in the media, we like to talk about signature wins for coaches. Today kind of felt like a signature win to me, anyway. I want to ask you: was this game all about the Dart philosophy? It seemed like we saw it play out before our eyes.
I mean, for sure. I mean, all week we talked about. We wanted to focus in on ourselves, and that we knew they are a good team. It was going to go down to the fourth quarter, and maybe in the fifth quarter, like it did, but. I think it was everybody just coming in and playing with each other, playing together and everything like that. But and just fighting to the end, and just keep on swinging. And we know when it gets to the end that we're built for it. Everything we've been through in the offseason, we built for the end of the game, just to go hard and get the win.
Emily, though, going back to Maddie.
For LeQuint and Marlo, the past few Novembers you guys have been here have not been good months for Syracuse football. I've heard that Fran has had some messaging around that about changing the narrative. I guess just coming out and getting this big win to start November. I guess what does that feel like for you guys?
That starts with the little things, like just controlling what you can control, and whether it's going to class, being on time for class and not even a minute late, because even being a minute late and then on the field you're a minute late, that can be a cause for a big play or you having a big play. So I think just the little things and the detail, and Dart, I think that played a long way today.
For sure. For sure, I feel like it's all about the values that we live by. That's just what's different for us right now. We're trying to make sure we lock in on those things every single day. We're not starting next week. We're going to be worrying about ourselves just so we can dominate each day. We're not worrying about the future right now.
Sounded like Fran had a pretty strong message at halftime too. Is there any of those words with us?
We got to play Syracuse football. Yeah. Nothing less, nothing more. Syracuse football. What we practice all year long for.
Got Justice as well, so Maddie back to the whole group.
Justice, for you, huge game, really the turning point in the second half. What does it just mean to you to be able to get those receptions and, bring Syracuse to win today?
It's all about staying focused, and when the numbers call, you just got to make your plays.
All right, Cooper, let's go around.
But I was in the front, but he was there.
Quinn, Coach Brown, came out here. He called you, the best player on the team. Said, when it's overtime, it's the quit time. I know you have all your guys around you to help you out and support you, but that confidence from your coach, just what does that instill into you, and what does that mean for your relationship with you and Coach Brown?
It just makes me, want to go harder for my teammates and Coach Brown and the whole staff, and that just comes with. Just the work ethic that we talked about earlier, and just keeping that same grit and just keep going no matter what. When diversity hits, just got to rise to the occasion, and not too many people want to do that, but I do. I want all the diversity. Oh, sorry, my fault.
for LeQuint and Marlo. This is the third straight year that I don't know how I follow that, but this is the third straight year that Syracuse is bowl eligible. When you two got here, that was not the standard, and Coach was up here saying, we expected that. That's not a big deal to us because we expect that. How does that feel for the two of you in particular? Because when you got here, that wasn't the case.
Just, did you see when we was working out in the snow? I think that's where that came from, and we didn't expect nothing less than that. And just working hard in that snow and the cold, because everybody not really doing that, and just building a bond with your teammates, I think.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I feel like us getting 6 wins, that's, like Coach Fran said, that's common sense. Like, that's what we expected. We're trying to get more. We're not really worrying about being, like, bowl eligible, things like that. But, like LeQuint is saying, all that work we put in, we're not just trying to get by. You get what I'm saying? We're trying to do way more, and that's the plan.
Justin's great game. How all year it's been kind of receiver by committee. Like each game, it seems like there's somebody else that, that steps up or whatever. How did that feel to see Justice step up? But, just how's it felt all season knowing that if one guy, is down or, you're not clicking with one guy, it'll be somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun for me. I think that we're the best tight end in college football in OG, and then the receivers have done a great job every single week stepping up to the occasion. And I think you hit it on the head. I think you never know going into the game who's gonna pop off and who's gonna have a career night. And I think, all throughout practice and during the week, I get a lot of good reps with them. So I feel comfortable with all of them in the game. And like I said earlier, Justice had a great week of practice. So to see him come out and have 2 big touchdowns and I think almost 100 yards, like that, not a surprise.
Justice, this question is for you. It's 21-3 in the third quarter, and somebody's got to make a play to provide a spark, and you made that play. Your first catch is quite a memorable one. Can you take us through that play, because it really felt like it changed the entire complexion of the game?
Well, when I was on the sideline, Coach Ross said, "J. Ross, I need you to make a play," and I said, "I got you." Went in, and that's exactly what I did.
Take a couple more for these guys. We'll start with Chris and then pass right over to Aiden.
Justice, when Fran was up here, he mentioned at one point you were so frustrated with your hamstring, you went to him and was like, should I redshirt? Can you talk about a little bit about just maybe how frustrated you were during your recovery, and then what it feels like to be up here today knowing you went through all that?
My whole hamstring process took way longer than I expected, with my hamstring kept bugging me and stuff. But Coach Fran just said, stay focused, keep going to treatment, and then eventually, if you stay patient, your time will come, and my time came.
And then last question, Aiden.
Yeah, Kyle, obviously a great game for Justice today. How do you try to build on that connection throughout the season while he's not available for games, so he can have a big game like that and you guys can kind of have that performance when needed?
I think it's just practice, continued reps in practice. And, there's a few times this week where we're on the same page, and you come to the sideline, you talk it out, you get on, the same page and what I see and what I want him to do. And then he lets me know what he sees. And I think when you just have that constant communication, a little bit of trial and error and a lot of reps, I think that's the type of result you get, because there's a few times today in those big plays where, I think necessarily wasn't like the perfect read, but, got him the ball and then, made plays. And so I think that just goes back to a lot of practice, a lot of reps together that, we missed out a little bit on the earlier part of the year.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.
McCord, LeQuint Allen, Marlo Wax, who I thought played a heck of a game. LeQuint Allen clearly did. And Justice Ross Simmons, a man of few words, who found the end zone a couple of times today. All right, let's get our final break in. Last chance for calls when we come back. Our DWITom.com hotline is open, 315-437-7644. If you'd like to chime in, we'll put the final ramps on it. We'll look ahead, Cuse BC at time, still TBD. We'll find out at like midnight tonight what time the game is next week. But we'll give you all the insight we have when we wrap it up next here on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Tuesday,
Okay. I'm glad LeQuint didn't accurately describe whatever Fran said at halftime, or else we would have had to work the dump button again. I wouldn't say LeQuint is little. He's not huge for a running back, but... Oh, man, Jig's dead. I have been so wrong this year on game times. It's getting very hard. Let me, hang on. Let me gaze into my crystal ball. What's going on in the league next week? Syracuse, BC. Miami, Georgia Tech. Clemson, Virginia Tech. Virginia, Pittsburgh. Duke, NC State. Florida State, Notre Dame is locked in 7:30 NBC. SMU must have the week off. Like, if Pitt wins, they'll be undefeated still. That'll be a big game. Even though Virginia Tech lost, them versus Clemson's still an interesting game. Man. This feels like, I can see Duke, NC State being like CW fodder. All right. It feels like one of the ACC network games, not the primetime game. Yeah, it's probably noon or 3:30 on ACC network. Noon ACC network. Yeah, I'm going to... Let's see. Let's send ACC network primetime to Pitt. Clemson, Virginia Tech will be on, like, ESPN. Miami, Georgia Tech will be on, like, the Deuce. No, am I running out of game for... Yeah, Duke... Yeah, I'm feeling like noon ACC network. I'm feeling strong ACC network vibes. It's got a noonish ACC network stench to it. Yeah, Miami pulled away late. They won. They put up 50-something. I can't deal. The CW broadcasts are so bad. Just like... Yeah, no, there are no guarantees going along with this guest, Jig's Dead, because we were horribly wrong last week. We only missed by 8 hours. I missed by 8 hours and the channel, but besides that, we were spot on. I think a lot of it, like if Pitt wins, they'll be undefeated. I'll bet they'll want to send ACC Network primetime to Pitt. If Pitt loses, that kind of takes the shine off that game a little bit. Clemson, Virginia Tech feels like it's an ESPN kind of game. I don't know. Brenneman? No.
And Holbrook Heating and Air Conditioning. Call in now on the Tom and Ellie DWITom.com hotline, 315-437-7644.
All right, last chance to get a call in today at 315-437-7644 as we get into our wrap-up here of Syracuse knocking off Virginia Tech today in overtime, 38-31. LeQuint Allen, much like he did about a month ago, the game-tying and game-winning touchdowns late in regulation and in overtime. I guess he didn't have the game-tying touchdown in the UNLV game. He has both overtime touchdowns of the year. A fact. Let's get into improving the team from Wadham's Enterprises as we look ahead to Syracuse and Boston College next week. We were just trying to play everyone's favorite game during the break on Cuse Sports Talk of Guess the TV Time. So, grain of salt. I was extremely wrong about guessing the TV time last week. Extremely wrong in that I missed by 8 hours and the channel. But besides that, locked in on it. So, I'm staring at the schedule next week. I'm trying to Kreskin it a little bit. I'm seeing noon ACC network, but again, I could be off by 8 hours in the network again. So do stay tuned. Last week, the 6-day hold kickoff times, as this came out around midnight. So I expect the same tonight. Obviously, the result of the SMU Pitt game, which is prime time tonight on ACC network, will I imagine be significant in determining where the Pitt game needs to go. SMU's on a bye next week. Yada 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 yada. Well, we wait for TV to plan our next week ahead. So when is the game next week? I don't know. I do know that Boston College will be coming in off a bye, which has worked out well for Team Syracuse has played against. Both games, Syracuse has come off a bye. Their opponent has come off a bye. Their opponents looked the better for it, and Syracuse did not. So we'll see how that plays out next week. I'm sure Boston College would like this week off. Thomas Castellanos, their quarterback, has been banged up in and out of the lineup all year. We'll see if he is healthier. We know how dangerous he can be when he's scooting around all over the place. That BC game in the Dome last year was the grossest thing of all time. That was the Carlos Del Rio Wilson guy at a bar 4-interception game. Obviously, we won't have that this time. We'll see if Kyle McCord can get a little bit more back on track. He was fine today. We'll see if he can get back to his explosive self next week. If LaQuinn Allen can keep it going, and if Syracuse can, all right, November jinx over. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. We'll see if Syracuse can get on out to Chestnut Hill and get a win next week and improve to 7-2. And man, now you're 6-2 here. 4 games left. You still got a chance. Like 10. That's ambitious. 9, 8. Like you got a chance to put up whether if you can win 2 or more games out of the last 4. If you can win it half or more of them, you will have at worst the third best regular season in the last 25 years. At worst, if you split your remaining 4 games. With a chance to accelerate beyond any of those seasons. You had the 9-win regular seasons in both 2001 and 2018. Besides that, there have been no other regular seasons with more than 7 wins since Donovan McNabb was here. So 2 more wins. Let's not lose sight of that. 2 more wins. You can have a chance to put this up there, and Fran Brown year 1 is one of the best seasons we've had around here in a long time. That's improving the team from Wadhams Enterprises because Wadhams is improving their team. They have home daily CDLA driving positions available for experienced drivers and also offer CDLA training at no cost with job waiting upon completion. Call recruiting today at 800-334-1314. That's 800-334-1314. 13-14. All right, as we wrap things up, I'll set the slate for you going forward. What do we have? Monday, normal shows. Orange Nation at noon. You get Fran Brown's press conference during the middle of it at 1. You'll have Newhouse afternoon at 2. You'll have the sports show with Cody Mack at 3. You'll have me at 4. And just when you think you're done with the day, absolutely not. We roll right into the basketball pregame show for Cuse Lemoyne at 6. And then I'll be chilling with you on Monday. There will be Monday Night Football on the radio, but CuseSportsTalk.com, Twitch, YouTube, great crowds on both today for postgame. Join me postgame after the game Monday, Lemoyne, as well as we launch into our silly season of football, basketball, football, all this stuff back and forth. But we'll have full coverage for you from noon onward on Monday. That all said, everyone, Cuse wins it in overtime today, 38-31 over Virginia Tech. Bowl eligible, 6-2. Heading into the final third of Fran Brown, year 1. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Clock's back tonight. Clock's back. Daylight savings time over. 2 a.m. Get up. Change the clocks. Talk to you on Monday, everybody. Right here on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Tuesday, the Orange Women kick off.